And welcome in. This is Benjamin Kennedy, Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod, coming to you tonight during the second period of the Stanley Cup Final, Florida and Edmonton. It is getting late early for Edmonton. I'll just leave it at that for everybody. A little bit of news throughout the league today, and just want to come back to you guys with probably a fairly quick video tonight. Just highlight a few things. We talked about coaches and coaching changes during yesterday's video. San Jose was talked about yesterday. You know, thoughts were that Marco Sturm was going to be the lead candidate for that role, but today San Jose announced that they have hired Ryan Warsofsky, who was a 2-year assistant there in San Jose. Um, from North Marshfield, Massachusetts, a relatively local guy here in New England. This will be his first chance to be a NHL head coach. Good on him. He was definitely one of the other candidates being discussed and talked about. So always good when you see a guy get his first crack at being an NHL head coach. Uh, Prior to his 2 years in San Jose, he was a head coach for the Chicago Wolves of the AHL, and he did win a Calder Cup there in the 21-22 season. So, yeah, be curious to see what happens there. Obviously, this is a team that has a long ways to go. Have that first overall pick. They're going to try to rebuild this thing, but they're years down the road. Hopefully, someone like Warsawski will be able to be there through not just development, but once they start getting successful again, that'd be good for him. A couple of signings today of note around the league for the New York Rangers. Capo Caco re-signs with the Rangers 1 year at $2.4 million extension. 23-year-old right winger has always been probably not quite what they hoped he would be when they drafted him. Um, Played this past year 61 games, 13 goals, 6 assists for 19 points. Um, they clearly still see something in him. There was a lot of chatter that maybe this is the year they let him go or they try to trade him or move him, but re-upping him for another year, good on him. And listen, the Rangers are a deep team. Give him a chance to develop. Lafreniere was another one of those kids that definitely blossomed this year, so maybe the same can happen for Kako going forward. Down in Carolina, Jalen Chatfield, defenseman, 28 years old, does resign today. 3-year contract, $3 million per season. Good, solid core part of their defensive unit there. In 72 games this year, he was 8 goals and 14 assists for 22 points. Yeah, good signing. Just a defensive team. Chatfield's a good part of that, so really no surprises there. Uh, some news kind of around as we talked a while back. We had a video about kind of the free agent frenzy and uh, trade rumors and all the off-season stuff. And there's definitely some names that were kind of brought up today in the media that may be available for trade. Probably the biggest name on this list, Patrick Laine from Columbus. Centerman, he really kind of a bad year this year, injured, only played in 18 games, 6 goals, 3 assists for 9 points. Uh, he was most famously, in Winnipeg, was part of that trade for Pierre Luc Dubois a few years back. Wasn't really happy in Winnipeg, and Dubois wasn't happy in Columbus, and so it was kind of a trade one unhappy guy for another unhappy guy. And since then, Dubois has moved on from Winnipeg and LA and didn't have a great year there. And here we are with Line A. Not crazy, not happy about being in Columbus, I guess, from what we're hearing. And Columbus is, I think it's a mutual thing here that they are listening to offers. The trick with Line A is he's an $8.7 million cap hit over the next 2 seasons. So there'll probably be teams interested. Line is can be a very talented offensive player. Um, given his center position, and we look at Boston needing some depth there, there'd be some teams interested. But it all comes back to how much money is Columbus willing to eat? Because I think they're going to have to eat some of this to make any sort of a deal happen. So not really surprised, but they kind of that news was floated out there today. Going up to Winnipeg, Nikolai Ehlers is a name being floated out there now too. Right winger, uh, played 82 games this year, 25 goals, 36 assists, 61 points. Has 1 year left on a $6 million contract. This guy should, uh, uh, generate some interest around the league. Good goal scorer against only 1 year on the contract, so you want to bring him in for a year. You don't necessarily have to re-sign him. So that expiring contract, there's some value there if things don't go well. But I think a guy that should definitely generate some interest. Be curious to see where he ends up. Another player that we mentioned earlier on from Carolina, Martin Natchez, right winger, RFA this year in 77 games. He was 24 goals, 29 assists, 53 points. A lot of chat about the Boston Bruins and maybe Alina's Allmark for Nature's type of trade. They're one of the teams most likely in on Nature's. There's a few other teams talking to him. You wonder what the asking price is going to be. Um, he's young, goal scorer, top six type of player. Well, it'll be curious to see what Carolina wants in return because I think the asking price could be pretty high, and that could knock some teams out of the race for him. So, be very very curious to see where he ends up. Uh, Few days back, PWHL had their annual draft. So the draft is in the books. Kind of took a look at the list. No UMaine players were drafted from the UMaine program this year, unfortunately. Uh, I'm not versed enough to know if there were any prospects at that level that were being looked at, but um, hopefully, as this league expands, it'd be great to see some local talent, whether it be from the University of Maine or Maine native players reach that level. Be something kind of to watch for. Looking forward to seeing what happens with that league and as they grow and expand. Great first season for them and uh, exciting to see where they go. Just a little bit of news on UMaine. This isn't breaking news or anything like that, but just wanted to kind of highlight a couple of freshman players that'll be coming in to the program this year. We all know UMaine had a great bounce back year under Ben Barr, uh, top 10 team most of the season, and really that the program's starting to cook again, which is great to see. Um, One name we're going to mention here, Charlie Russell. He's a 5'11" forward from New York. Uh, Played in the USHL this past season for the Green Bay Gamblers. Played 37 games, had 12 goals, 10 assists for 22 points. Also did play 7 games at Clarkson University. So he is, so maybe he may not actually be a freshman. Forgive me for that. Um, but no points in those 7 games at Clarkson. Another name of note, he was announced back in November. Brian Morse played for the British Columbia Hockey League this past season for Chilliwack. Played 53 games, 5 goals, 16 assists for 21 points. He's a 6 foot one defenseman out of Fresno, California. So a little bit of size. Um, Seems like kind of an exciting kid coming up here to Orono. So throughout the summer here, I'll probably periodically mention uh, some names here for you, Maine, just kind of guys to have on the radar and be watching as they get ready for next season. So that is all I have for tonight, guys. Just real quick, tidy video, just a little bit of that news, and I'm going to get back to watching the rest of this final, see if Edmonton can't dig their way out of it. If I don't talk to you all before then, have a wonderful Father's Day weekend. For all those dads out there, enjoy the weekend, enjoy those kiddos, and we'll talk to you all again soon.